The psychology of problem solvers. What separates the fixers from the helpless? Faucet drips. One rhythmic drop after another. For 3 days, it echoes through the kitchen. A constant metallic whisper of failure. One person hears it and panics. They scroll through their phone, dialing a plumber's number with trembling fingers. Another person hears it differently. They don't call anyone. They simply walk to the cabinet beneath the sink, crouch down in that cramped, dark space, and 10 minutes later, complete silence. Dry hands. Problem solved. The question isn't complex, but the answer changes everything. What does that second person possess that the first doesn't? It's not their hands. Hands are irrelevant. It's not their tools or their prior experience with plumbing. It's something infinitely more powerful. It's the architecture of their mind. It's how their brain, at its deepest levels, processes the unknown. Today, we're excavating 6 specific psychological traits that separate those who look at something broken and see possibility from those who see only disaster. The people called jacks of all trades. The ones who've heard it 1,000 times. You just have a knack for it. I'm not wired that way. But here's the truth they don't tell you. It's not a gift you're born with. It's a pattern you can see, understand, and build. The myth that paralyzes us. Drive through a city with a systems thinker, and they see something fundamentally different than you do. Where you see a car, they see the engine, the fuel system, the electrical nervous system, the suspension, and, critically, the intricate connections between them. They see relationships where others see isolated objects. Consider a 40-year-old woman, an accountant by profession, who owns a washing machine everyone told her to discard years ago. By now, she's saved it 3 times from the landfill. You ask, how do you know what to do? She answers, I just think about what's connected to what. I look for where the chain breaks. This is the heart of systems thinking, not merely observing facts in isolation, but recognizing the web of connections that binds everything together. Most people think in straight lines. Asterisk, I pushed the button. Something happened. Something didn't happen. It's broken. Call the expert. Asterisk, linear. Binary. Dead. Systems thinkers see feedback loops. They understand that one phenomenon influences a second, which influences a third, which inevitably circles back to influence the first. Cause and effect become invisible spirals. This perspective doesn't just apply to machines. It applies everywhere, to technology and relationships, to business models and personal habits, to ecosystems and emotions. This is why people with systems thinking often excel across completely unrelated domains. The pattern transfers. The brain takes what it learned fixing one thing and applies it to fixing something entirely different. That's the exponential power of understanding how things connect. Trait 3. A high frustration threshold, the capacity to endure discomfort. Here's the scene you'll recognize immediately. You're trying to repair something. 5 minutes pass. Nothing. 10 minutes. 15. Inside your chest, something begins to boil. Your jaw clenches. You want to throw it across the room. You want to scream. You want to quit. This is the moment when most people surrender. For people with genuine problem-solving abilities, that breaking point is located much further down the road. Paul Ekman, one of the world's preeminent emotion researchers, spent decades studying anger, frustration, and shame. His insight is quietly revolutionary. The emotion itself is not the problem. The automatic behavior triggered by that emotion is the problem. Asterisk, asterisk, rage made you hurl your tool. Anxiety made you dial the repairman. Shame made you think, I'm just not capable, and you never tried again. People with a high frustration threshold don't feel less emotion. They feel the same intensity, but they've built a space, sometimes microseconds wide, between the feeling and the action. That space is where choice lives. It appears to be composure, but it's more truthful to call it years of accumulated practice. Often, this trait is forged in childhood, in families without excess money, where broken things had to be fixed because new things couldn't be afforded. In those households, frustration became the weather, the environment, the baseline. The young brain adapted. It learned that pain, properly channeled, becomes the best teacher. Trait 4, ego on pause, the courage to not know. Every attempt to fix something kills the ego long before it kills the problem. I don't know this. I should know this. Asking is humiliating. Looking at instructions means I don't understand. Admitting confusion means I'm weak. These thoughts are poison. They're cognitive termites, silently eating away at your foundation before you've even started. Carol Dweck's decades of research prove this beyond doubt. People who believe their abilities can solve complex problems more effectively, persist longer, and suffer less psychological damage in the process. Because for them, I don't know isn't a death sentence. It's a starting line. For people who can truly fix things, there's no shame in the unknown. It's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to spend an hour on YouTube watching tutorials. It's okay to call someone more experienced and ask questions. Psychologists call this a growth mindset ***, a fundamental belief that abilities aren't carved in stone, but sculpted through effort. Watch how this manifests in relationships. People with ego on pause admit mistakes far more easily. They change their minds when evidence demands it. They learn from anyone. A partner, a stranger, even their child. A brain liberated from defending its self-image can do what it was designed to do: solve problems. Trait 5, memory for patterns, the invisible database. There's a specific type of person who walks into an unfamiliar environment and intuitively understands its layout within minutes. They pick up a device they've never encountered and somehow know how it works. It looks like magic. It's not. It's memory for patterns ***. The human brain is a pattern detection machine of staggering sophistication. Neuroscientist Jeff Hawkins argues that the cortex is essentially a prediction engine. It constantly compares incoming information against the vast library of patterns already stored in memory. When you've repaired dozens of broken things, your brain accumulates a massive database. When something new breaks, your mind immediately begins its search. What else have I seen that works this way? This explains the phenomenon of the seasoned craftsman. He glances at an engine for a second and declares, "Carburetor." He listens to a sound and diagnoses, "Bearing." This appears supernatural. It's actually a massive database plus the habit of relentless comparison. The extraordinary part: this database can be expanded at any age, on any topic. Every time you attempt something, even if you fail, especially if you fail, you add a pattern to your internal library. Your brain doesn't just learn from success. It learns from failure, sometimes more profoundly. This accumulation is called experience, and it cannot be downloaded. It can only be earned moment by moment, failure by failure. Trait 6. Connection with the material world, the wisdom of touch. There are people who inhabit a universe of abstractions. Screens, numbers, words, theories. And then there are those who also live in the tactile universe of things. They feel the material. They hear the subtle voice of tools. They know the difference between wood and chipboard by touch alone. This is bodily tactile knowledge, a sensory channel to reality that transcends language. Philosopher Richard Sennett wrote extensively about craftspeople, people whose work lives in the physical realm. His central thesis challenges everything we've been taught. The hand doesn't follow the brain's instructions. The hand teaches the brain. ***. When you grip a tool, your nervous system receives information that words can never convey. The resistance of the material, the precise calibration of force, the moment when a part clicks satisfyingly into place. This creates something rare and powerful: bodily confidence, a felt sense that you can influence the physical world around you. This affects your psychology far more deeply than it might appear. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, understood this profoundly. A sense of meaning is born through action, creativity, and contact with reality. When you repair something with your own hands, you haven't merely solved a mechanical problem. You've confirmed to your deepest self, ***I exist. I matter. I can change things." In an era when most people feel powerless in the face of the physical world, when our hands do nothing but tap screens, this capacity becomes almost a superpower. The pain of knowing what you're missing. Let's be honest about something uncomfortable. When you observe people like this, people who move through broken things with fearlessness, something tightens inside you. A feeling without a name. Part admiration, part resentment. part awe, part quiet rage at yourself, because somewhere deep in your consciousness lives a belief. Asterisk, I can't do that. I'm just not built that way. Asterisk, that belief isn't yours. You didn't choose it. You inherited it. Maybe it came from childhood, from a moment when you broke something and were scolded instead of guided. Maybe it came from school, where mistakes meant lower grades and the message, do it differently. Maybe it came from your family, where someone else always made decisions while you were told, don't touch, don't interfere, don't mess it up. Your developing brain absorbed the lesson. Asterisk, trying is risky. Breaking is shameful. Best not to touch anything. Asterisk. And so you grew up carrying this burden, watching people fearlessly venture into the unknown, having absolutely no idea how they possess such courage. Now you know, they don't have different hands. They have different thinking. The revolutionary truth. This isn't innate, it's learned. Here's what transforms everything. These traits are not coded in your DNA. They're not gifts from a benevolent universe. They're acquired, built, developed. Asterisk, asterisk. This isn't motivational platitude. This is neurobiology. Every single time you attempt something unfamiliar, the actual structure of connections between neurons shifts. Every time you sit with discomfort longer than you'd prefer, your frustration threshold physically moves. Every time you say, I don't know, but I'll figure it out, you're strengthening self-efficacy at a neurological level. It's slow. It requires persistence. But the transformation is real, and it starts right here with understanding that this is a matter of psychology, not talent. Psychology has a term, locus of control. Who orchestrates your life, you or circumstances beyond your reach. People who can fix almost anything aren't fortunate or specially gifted. They're people with a robust internal locus of control. They look at a problem and think instinctively, this is mine to solve. Asterisk, they're simply accustomed to thinking that way. And the beautiful secret? That's a habit. And habits can be learned. The same pattern, infinite applications. Here's what's most fascinating. The psychology of fixing a broken faucet and the psychology of fixing a broken life operate according to identical patterns. Same brain, same traits, same underlying architecture. A broken faucet, broken relationships, broken habits, broken dreams. The approach never changes. Enter the chaos. Examine the system. Tolerate the discomfort. Set aside the ego. Remember what patterns you've seen. Trust your hands to know things your mind hasn't yet understood. Asterisk. And remember this, above all else. A master is not someone who never breaks things. A master is someone who has broken enough to stop fearing it. Asterisk, asterisk. The next time you're faced with something broken, whether it's a mechanism, a relationship, or yourself, you'll know what to do. You have the blueprint. You have the traits. You have the capacity. All you need now is to begin.